Hi all. As you all know, we just got over with UPSC Civil Service Examination Prelims 2024. UPSC has been consistent throughout in one thing, that is, never failing to surprise us. This year was no different. And here is when aspirants around the country come up with questions like what should be our preparation strategy? What should be our score while preparing? What should we prepare or what sources should we go for? Well, I would like to explain you through an analogy. This is the right time in our country to explain through cricket analogy. 2011 World Cup, South African batsman Gary Kirsten appointed as Indian head coach. Our Indian team where the god of cricket is playing, Sachin Tendulkar. What would have Gary Kirsten told Sachin Tendulkar during nets? Stick to basics. Well, this is what I would like to tell you. Stick to basics. And what is basics for UPSC preparation? 1. Syllabus understanding. 2. NCRTs. 3. Standard textbooks. And 4th, mock test or prelims test series. Well, how does this prelims test series work? Prelims test series is complete only when we write the test, when we attend the discussion, we analyze the answer key, and when we revise it at least for 3 times. This is when cycle of one test is complete. How the test series is going to help you in solving questions in the exam hall. So let's start with set A question number 66, which talks about Article 368. If you have been following the recent elections closely, you might have heard the buzzword "Charso Par" or "Why is it dangerous?" It talks about the amendment of Indian Constitution. So the question was, the Parliament may amend any provision of the Constitution by way of addition, variation, repeal. So while reading Lakshmikant, you might not understand which portion to focus upon or what to remember while reading it. So the question provides a framework to what to remember, what to focus upon, and what to keep in mind while reading that particular portion. For example, Article 368. The question in test number 657 says, the first statement says, Article 368 enables Parliament to amend, repeal, or add. Addition, variation, repeal. More clearly, when we look into the answer key of this question, the first statement explanation talks about the Constitution deals with the powers of Parliament to amend the Constitution and its procedure. It states that the Parliament may, in the exercise of its constituent power, amend by way of addition, variation, or repeal. So clearly, from our answer key, you could have approached this question and got the answer as 1, 2, and 3. The question is simple, but as I told you, how to approach a particular portion in Lakshmikant could have been more easier if you come across questions like this. Let's move on. Moving on to next question. Question number 71 of set A again. How many delimitation commissions have been constituted by the Government of India till December 2023? So, IAS HUB, even last year and this year, has almost predicted around 50 to 52 questions. Well, this is not a fluke. We set question papers based on previous year questions and why in that particular year, which news was followed to make that question. Why would have this come this year? Because of the Women's Reservation Bill. Okay, the bill clearly states that the reservation will come only after the delimitation, and also the census is around. So that's why this question or this topic was very important, and we have followed that in almost 3 tests: test number 5, test number 23, and the weekly test. So while looking into the question was a bit factual. How many delimitation commissions have been constituted by the Government of India up till December 2023? Options were 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when we come across the answer key, we clearly stated that the delimitation commission so far has been set 4 times. Moving on to next question. Which one of the following was latest inclusion in the Intangible Cultural Heritage list of UNESCO? Well, we have been continuously focusing about UNESCO World Heritage Sites or Intangible Heritage Sites. Why? In 2020, 2019, 21, 22, continuously there has been question related to World Heritage Sites. Chausatyogini Temple, the churches of Goa, the Khajuraho Temple group of Madhya Pradesh, the Hampi monuments in 2019. So continuously every year, 1 or 2 questions are there from World Heritage Sites. And with no surprise this year, which one of the following was the latest inclusion? It was the Garba dance. And we have followed in our full test as well as the sectional test, test number 15 and test number 20. Garba was recently included in the list of intangible cultural heritage by UNESCO. Coming to question number 65, which again talks about UNESCO World Heritage Site. But the twist here is, how many of the above properties were included in 2023 was asked. Okay, we all know like all 4 are almost World Heritage Sites, but which were added in the year 2023 was important and it was in news. And that's why we had that in our test number 13 and 16. With the inclusion of Shantiniketan in UNESCO World Heritage Sites, West Bengal became the Indian state with the highest number of World Heritage Sites. And in the explanation we had given that Shantiniketan as well as the sacred ensembles of Hoysalas were the recent additions of UNESCO. Coming to question number 81, which was about the Nari Shakti Vandana Adhiniyam, that is Women's Reservation Bill or Women's Reservation Act. So, as we discussed earlier, why was this important? And because of this news, we had 3 questions, right? One is delimitation, amendment, and the third being the Women's Reservation Bill. So, the question was, the provision will come into effect from the 18th Lok Sabha. This will be in force for 15 years after becoming an act. There are provisions for reservation of seats for scheduled caste women within the quota reserved for the scheduled caste. And clearly, we had this question in our test number 12, question number 44, which talks about the bill reserves 1/3 of the states in Lok Sabha, State Legislative Assembly and Delhi Assembly for women. Second, this will also apply to the seats reserved for scheduled caste. So, clearly, from this question, we could have solved this question number 81 as the 18th Lok Sabha, that is the immediate Lok Sabha. We never had a delimitation. So, there is no possibility of Women's Reservation Bill or Women Reservation becoming an act or that provision coming into act this year. That is the 18th Lok Sabha. When we eliminate the first statement, we could directly come to the answer as 2 and 3 only with the knowledge from this question as well as the answer key mentioned. Coming to next question. Question number 17, which talks about perfluoroalkyl and polyfluoroalkyl substances that are used in making consumer products. Plastics is again UPSC's favorite topic. Microplastics, different types of plastics, PVC, where recently, 2020, 2022, continuously has been asked in examination. And this year it was perfluoroalkyl or polyfluoroalkyl substances. Coming to question number 39 of test 19, IAS HUB test 19, the first statement says it is a short-lived substance. And when we come to the answer key, it says as incorrect. That is, it is not short-lived. With this information, we could clearly understand from the second statement that PFAs are not easily degraded, right? Because they are not short-lived, they are not easily degraded and they have a long life. Second, PFAs are found to be widespread in drinking water, food and food packaging materials. Very general statement has to be correct, right? Third statement, persistent exposure to PFAs can lead to bioaccumulation in animal bodies. Since it is long lasting or it doesn't have a short life, there are high chances of bioaccumulation in animal bodies. Or let's relate it with the first statement. If it is found in widespread in drinking water or food, chances of bioaccumulation is again higher. So this is how you induce from the knowledge of test series and apply it during the actual prelims. Coming to next question. Again, same application based question. How many of the above are products of volcanic eruptions? Generally, when these types of application based questions or properties based questions come in UPSC, the answer is all of the above. But let's look at one by one. Pyroclastic debris. When you prepare for prelims, PYQ becomes very important because 2019 plasma gasification or pyrolysis was there in the question as well as the options. So, what is pyroclastic debris? Pyro means, as you know, pyro is fire. So, there are high chances of pyroclastic debris. Debris is the particles after the volcanic eruptions. How many of the above are products of volcanic eruptions? So 1 is for sure there. Then ash and dust. Can you eliminate this? No, right? Volcanic eruption is associated with ash and dust. Then we are left with nitrogen compounds and sulfur compounds. As you know, both are greenhouse gas emissions, and volcanic eruptions are a potent source of greenhouse gas emissions. The answer would be 1, 2, and 3, 4. Like we had this question not entirely the same way, but at the application level, we could have solved with test number 21, question number 51 answer key. The volcano releases sulfur gases which can be ignited and produce impressive blue flames. Coming to next question. Again, I have been repeatedly telling you about the importance of PYQ. Like the prediction of question that giant stars or the dwarf stars could have come or something associated with will come is because of PYQ again. Immediate the previous year, that is 2022, there was a question about nebula and the definition associated with it. There was a matched Pauling pair. Before that, we had bending of light, and before that, we had ELISA pathfinder. These are all related with space activities, and obvious reason was like obvious guesses were there that question related to these dwarf stars would come. And we had that in our test number 19 about stellar evolution, the evolution of the star, how it gives birth to new star and the death of the stars. So giant stars live much longer than dwarf stars. Compared to dwarf stars, giant stars have a greater rate of nuclear reactions. Actually, the dwarf stars, by logic of like this question, when you solve this question, the question number 93, through the answer key, we could understand that it is the dwarf stars that have like larger reactions because it helps them to stay longer. So we could have directly come to that answer. Coming to question number 31, with reference to radioisotope thermoelectric generators, that is RTGs. We had the direct reference from test number 19 with reference to RTG. Consider the following statements. And statement 2, which talks about powering the onboard system of spacecraft. Statement 3 talks about use of plutonium-238. Let's come down to the answer key of this question. And we have clearly mentioned that there is usage of plutonium-238 as well as it is used for powering onboard space missions. All right. Coming to the first statement, RTGs are miniature fission reactors. If you have read the answer key properly, there is no mention of such fission reactors. So definitely the first statement is wrong, and we come down to the answer as option B, 2 and 3. Here one more thing that you have to notice, if RTGs were fission reactors, this would definitely have been there in the answer key, because this is very an important statement if it was a miniature fission reactor. So this is where you have to back your knowledge. This is where you have to back your preparation. If I have studied this topic, I would have seen this topic, or I would have seen this thing. Then you could have eliminated this option as the answer would have been 2 and 3. Coming to question number 54, which is an ancient India related question. Sometimes it's very difficult to prepare for ancient India because the return of investments is sometimes very low. But like going through PYQs, we could understand that there are some certain topics in ancient India that could be focused upon more. That is Buddhism, Jainism, IVC sites, as well as the Sangam era. So this question is from the Buddhism era or the Buddhism period. The question was, with reference to ancient India, Gautam Buddha was generally known by which of the following epithets? Options were Nayaputta, Shakyamuni, Tathagata. So showing you the reference from our test series, from test number 2, question number 93. And the answer key says that Buddha in various Buddhist texts is known as Tathagata and Shakyamuni. So the answer is 2 and 3. Coming to question number 62, which is also a polity as well as modern India related question, which talks about Government of India Act 1935. Again, as I said, PYQ, its research is very important for predicting questions for the upcoming prelims. One of the predictions was the acts. Like in 2023, the question was based on 1833 Act. Similarly, this year we had about the Government of India Act 1935. The first statement says it provided for the establishment of an All India Federation based on Union of British Indian Provinces and Princely States. Second, defense and foreign affairs were kept under the control of federal legislature, which was talked in the cabinet mission plan, not in 1935 Act. So the answer was like option A. identify, and we had that in our test, in test number 29, which was a comprehensive test, a full test, question number 6. And the answer key had clearly mentioned about the provisions as mentioned in the statement 1 of the UPSC question. So this is how, as I repeatedly say, this is how you prepare from the answer key, the question paper, for your revision as well as for solving on the day of examination. Coming to question number 88, again a polity question, again something related to fundamental rights. A very direct question and very predictable question about writs. Continuously there has been like writs being discussed in Supreme Court, and there was like a chance of asking these writs as questions. So we also had that in our test number 29 again, and the question was in the format of like match the pair, and we clearly mentioned about all the 4 type of writs: habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, as well as quo warranto. And the question was directly from: a writ of prohibition is an order issued by the Supreme Court or High Courts to the lower courts prohibiting continuation of proceedings in case, as mentioned in our answer key, to prevent lower courts or tribunals from exceeding their jurisdiction. Coming to next question. Here, question number 87, which seems on a difficult side, but because again only 1 pair, only 2 pair, the chances of elimination are less. Still, we could have come to the answer as like, as I told you, like you have to back your knowledge, you have to back your preparation for the statement 3, that is, or the pair 3. Turkey rescinded its membership of NATO. If this would have happened, you would have definitely, if you are a serious aspirant, you would have definitely come up across this news, right? So this you can eliminate. And second, Sudan was continuously in news because of the Darfur region, where the paramilitary forces were fighting against the forces of the first statement. As you read, Argentina, reason for being in news is worst economic crisis. See, when you see the statement worst economic crisis, there is no special mention about the time period. Worst economic crisis in this quarter, or worst economic crisis in this period or this year. So when such type of questions come, you have to directly consider it as right. Being a general statement, Argentina could have gone through worst economic crisis. We did have reference in our question paper in test number 11 about the BRIC summit, where Argentina was invited, but later they backed out because of this reason. So the answer was 1 and 2. And in our answer key, we had the explanation about the Darfur region or the Sudan crisis. So the answer is 1 and 2. 5. Which of the following countries are well known as the 2 largest cocoa producers in the world? Cocoa or cocoa, again a plantation crop, very important topic in UPSC, because since 2019, almost every year there were questions related to plantation crops. 2019 we had about the question about New World old crops, and 2020 we had about tea, questions on tea plantation. 2021 we had a question on the plantation of oil seeds, and 2022 again we had production of tea. Then back in this year 2024 we also again had the plantation crop question, that is largest cocoa producers in the world. Looking at the options, when you see, if you are aware that cocoa is a tropical crop or grown somewhere near equator, as we have production of cocoa in Kerala as well. So it's very clear that cocoa is a tropical crop. And when we see the options, only one option is very close to the equator. This is application level question. Okay, this will come through only after you attend discussions, a lot of practice about questions. Then only you will be able to think like that. Algeria, Morocco, very close to Mediterranean Sea. It's very close to the temperate region. Botswana, Namibia, again a subtropical region. Madagascar, Mozambique, again subtropical region. Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana are the only option left which is close to the equator and has the most suitable climate or conditions to grow cocoa. So the answer would be Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana. Again, next important area or the mapping area where UPSC since last 3 or 4 years has been asking is the African continent. And again, one more question was, one of the following regions has the world's largest tropical peatlands, which holds about 3 years worth of global carbon emissions from fossil fuels, and the possible destruction of which can exert detrimental effect on the global climate. So options were Amazon Basin, Congo Basin, Kikori Basin, Rio de la Plata Basin. We had a question about peatlands, but in the answer key we had declaration of Brazil declaration, which was signed in Congo region. So answer was the Congo Basin. Quebec Central region in Congo Basin, the declaration was signed, and so the answer was Congo Basin. Coming to next question, question number 10 of set A, which is directly from static portion of geography. When we study geography or the world geography, the mountain, when we talk about mountains, we talk mostly about fold mountains as well as block mountains. And the question here was first time the UPS brought up this pattern of three important columns, that is region, name of the mountain, and type of the mountain. So question was, how many of the above rows? This format was the first time. All right. So when we see, when we talk about like Alps, Appalachians, and Andes, we talk together with Himalayas as fold mountains. So these two options were correct. And fold mountains, block mountains. The Vosges is a very famous. When we study about block mountains, we have very few examples to study. And one of the example was Vosges, the Central Asian region, block mountain. So when this is block mountain, most of the times the options are like interchanged, and the Alps is the fold mountain. Or if you know the Alps is fold mountain, definitely you can come to the answer that two pair of rows are only correct in this question. We had that reference in our test number 9, which talks about different types of mountains and the region and the type of the mountains in the answer key. Coming to next question. Repeatedly I've been saying about the PYQ. Again, 21st June was a question in PYQ 2022. And again this year they had this question. On June 21 every year, which of the following latitudes experiences sunlight of more than 12 hours? So yeah, very simple question. Definitely the answer would be, since it is 21st June, the sun is in the north. Apparent movement of the sun is towards the northern hemisphere, and the answer would be Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle. Very simple question. Again, we had our references in our test number 13 about insolation and the rotation of the Earth, different times of the Earth. Yes. Next question, question number 41. TFR, why was this important, or why was this in news, or why this question could have, or the probability of this question was high because the census is around, as well as we have crossed the population of country China, and we are the highest, India has the highest population. So TFR is continuously in news. So that is total fertility rate. And we had tried new pattern of questions in our last comprehensive test, that is test number 29, which was about the demographic dividend and TFR. We did discuss about TFR in our test and our test series discussion. The answer would be the number of children born to a couple in their lifetime in a given population. So answer is option B. As I told earlier, again questions on plantation crops, cashew, papaya, red sanders. How many of the above trees are actually native to India? Okay, we had pattern about native crops because last year we had on mahua, jackfruit. So these type of questions are predictable. Like these type pattern of questions are predictable. You are expected to have some knowledge about these crops, like which are native, which are indigenous, which are like plantation crops brought by Portuguese or the African nations. So as you all know, cashew, papaya, you definitely know that cashew is from not from India. It's not native to India. It has been brought by Portuguese people. And papaya. So the option left is red sanders, and there is also one option as none. But since red sanders has been in news, we had that question. We had that question regarding red sanders in our test series, test number 19, and the answer would have been only 1. Again, next question, very simple question, based on fuel cell electric vehicle. They could have asked many dimensions, but they asked only which one of the following is the exhaust pipe emission, which would be the emission of this fuel cell electric vehicle powered by hydrogen. So we all know that combustion occurs only in the presence of oxygen. Only result of combustion with hydrogen would be nothing but water vapor. And we had that in our test number 12, discussion about different types of hydrogen and their exhausts. So in test number 12. Coming to question number 39, about membrane bioreactors are often discussed in the context of. All right, so since the question is a single answer question, sometimes it's difficult to crack. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you know. Sometimes it's factual. But UPSC did provide some clue over here. Like we had 4 options and 3 options are very similar. Option A, assistive reproductive technology. Option B, drug delivery nanotechnologies. C, vaccine production technologies. Mostly all 3 topics were related to biotechnology or related to medical science. But the only option that remained outside that scope was wastewater treatment technologies. So here you could have taken a chance, and this chance you could take only after continuous preparation, continuous mock tests, attending discussions, and going through PYQs. This is how UPSC gives you options to go for. And we did have discussion about the wastewater treatment and the membrane bioreactors in our test number 17, which talks about how activated sludge system is used to separate the sludge from the water. The next set of questions will be taken in part 2 of this series. Subscribe for more.